International shame, how the US humiliated Russia in front of the entire world. The beginning of 2026 was marked by an operation that is already being considered an event that has forever changed the political map of the American region. We are talking about the kidnapping of the Venezuelan ruler, Nicolas Maduro, by the American military. An operation that the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, later called an incredible spectacle and one of the most impressive, effective, and powerful American operations in history. From Caracas. In less than an hour, American special forces were able to infiltrate Caracas, the capital of Venezuela, extract Maduro under heavy cover, and evacuate without any losses. The effect of the operation was colossal. Social media was filled with enthusiastic comments, and many residents of Venezuela greeted the news of what happened with applause. However, as the initial emotional wave subsided, more logical and deeper questions began to emerge. Why did the US, after carrying out such a large-scale operation, not leave a military presence in the country? Were there secret agreements between Washington and Maduro's own inner circle? And the main question, which became one of the central topics for discussion: why did the Russian air defense system, which the Venezuelan authorities had repeatedly mentioned and which Maduro had boasted about so much, fail to resist the American aviation? Obviously, conspiracy theories also emerged, even including speeches by the late Zhirinovsky. So let's get to the bottom of this. Hello, everyone. My name is Anastasiia Husarieva. And while you are liking this video and writing comments, I will begin step by step to analyze with you this large-scale operation that was carried out by the United States of America. So let's get started. The U.S. Department of Defense, represented by Pentagon Chief Pete Hegseth, openly mocked the failure of the air defense systems. I emphasize the Russian air defense systems. It seems the Russian air defense didn't work very well, did it? Hegseth said in front of the American military. Just a few months before this operation, Maduro was showing off the air defense systems purchased from Russia, claiming they were capable of effectively protecting the country from any threat. According to SIPRI, between just 2008 and 2014, Russia supplied Venezuela with Bucum 2, S-300 VM, Ante 2500, and modernized S-125 Pechora 2M systems. Additionally, the country received portable Igla-S air defense systems, as well as additional deliveries in October 2024. Maduro emphasized that Venezuela has at least 5,000 Igla-S missiles, presenting them as a serious deterrent. Analysts noted that over the past 2 decades, Caracas has built one of the densest air defense systems in all of Latin America. A multi-layered system consisting of complexes with various ranges. In 2015, Sergei Shoigu even received a Venezuelan order for his merits in the field of ensuring national security. What was so unexpected was the fact that during an attack by the United States, this entire system proved to be virtually useless and failed to work. According to data published in the Washington Post, the operation began with a large-scale cyber attack that led to a power outage in a significant part of Caracas. This created a unique and significant window of opportunity, one that allowed hundreds of American planes, helicopters, and drones to carefully and strategically approach the capital city. Within a short time, strikes were carried out on 6 key air defense facilities that were covering the city: the port of La Guaira, La Carlota Base, Fuerte Tiuna Base, Higuerote Airport, and the El Volcan Communications Center. This is footage that was filmed in Caracas at that time. The published footage showed destroyed Bucam 2 launchers. Austrian military historian Markus Reisner explained, the operation became an example of an almost classic SIAD scenario, the suppression of air defenses. In addition to the cyber attack, the US could have used insider information from a person in the Venezuelan leadership, which significantly simplified bypassing the very same defense systems. And continuing on this topic, Western analysts noted the technical condition of the systems. Many of them had long been in need of repair, and Russia was not fulfilling its maintenance obligations. Due to a shortage of spare parts, only a few of these systems remained truly operational. In one of the videos filmed by local residents, you can see the military launching an Igla-S missile. However, the missile missed its target, exploding on a hillside. This became additional confirmation that the country's air defense was disorganized and unable to coordinate its actions. The magazine Der Spiegel noted, theoretically, portable systems should pose a threat to low-flying aircraft, but the lack of training, disorientation, and suppression of command posts did not allow them to be used effectively. Military expert Yuri Fedorov points to a key factor in the use of fifth-generation F-35 and F-22 fighter jets by the United States of America. These are low-visibility aircraft that are difficult to detect, even when using modern radars. According to the expert, the same aircraft were used in an operation against Iran, where they also suppressed the air defense system in a very short time. Analyst Daniel Bachmat emphasized that the inherent flaw in Russian air defense systems makes them vulnerable to fifth-generation technologies. Another factor mentioned is the landscape of Venezuela itself, the mountainous areas around Caracas, which create cover for low-flying aircraft. Russian systems are designed mainly for flat terrain. But one of the most important factors experts believe is the human one. The lack of expectation of an attack, loss of communication, poor training, and demoralization made the system practically useless. It should also be noted here that despite the loud statements of some Russian politicians, the Kremlin's official response turned out to be quite restrained, formulaic, and so insignificant, not the one that Maduro himself was obviously counting on. Sergei Lavrov, who is the head of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and, the head of the Belarusian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Mikhail Ryzhenkov, condemned the actions of the U.S. Dmitry Medvedev called the operation a violation of international law. State Duma deputies accused the U.S. of seeking to control Venezuela's oil reserves. However, analysts at the Institute for the Study of War noted that this reaction looks mechanical and is not accompanied by concrete actions. The Kremlin found itself facing a dilemma. On the one hand, it needs to maintain the image of a reliable partner. On the other, Moscow seeks to avoid conflict with the Donald Trump administration. A few days later, a new incident occurred, the detention by the Americans of the tanker Marinera, which had left Venezuela and changed its flag to a Russian one on the open sea. Despite Moscow's request to stop the pursuit, the U.S. Coast Guard stopped the vessel. Russian politicians, not of the first echelon, reacted very strongly. Alexei Zhuravlyov called the U.S. actions an encroachment on Russian territory and proposed sinking a couple of American cutters. Andrei Gurulyov stated that the operation is part of the West's preparation for a major war and proposed striking the enemy's logistical facilities using Oreshnik. What prevents us from striking, for example, Rheinmetall, which produces ammunition for Ukraine? Nothing prevents us, said Gurulyov. And with that, the ammunition will run out. We need the political will to shut down all channels. However, of course, there was no harsh reaction from Russia. According to NZZ's columnist Marcus Ackeret, the Kremlin didn't want to annoy Trump over Maduro. Russia has previously been in a situation where it couldn't protect its allies. For example, as happened during the US strikes on Iran or the overthrow of the Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad. For the Kremlin, this is a double blow, a loss of influence and a demonstration of its inability to ensure the security of its own partners. Ackeret also notes that Putin is impressed by the stories of the overthrow of leaders like Gaddafi and Hussein. And the sight of Maduro under American control has become an alarming signal. At the same time, the New York Times recalled the possibility of a probable barter proposed by Russia 7 years ago, allowing the U.S. freedom of action in Venezuela in exchange for lifting restrictions in Ukraine. Fiona Hill, who worked at the U.S. National Security Council, claimed that she personally traveled to Moscow to reject this idea. For today, that's all we have time to tell you. Write in the comments what you think. Will Putin be next after Maduro? Or will Donald Trump dare to carry out a similar operation, but this time on the territory of the aggressor country? We will read them and see you in our next broadcasts. My name is Anastasiia Husarieva. Take care of yourselves and wash your hands with soap. Bye-bye, everyone.